The scent of power is always the same. Expensive, bitter, and never knocks before entering. The bass crawls through the walls like a heartbeat, low and steady, shaking the glasses on the counter. The scent trap lives up to its name. Thick air, a swirl of pheromone blockers, lavender oil, citrus mist, and that faint metallic taste that comes from too many secrets in one room. It's my kind of heaven. No one looks twice here. People come to forget who they are, or what they smell like. My rules are simple. No fighting, no marking, and no alphas. Especially that last one. The sign outside says it in glowing red letters. No alphas allowed. And yet, someone just walked through the door. I see him before I smell him. Tall, shoulders like sin, dark coat brushing past the velvet curtain. He moves like the music bends for him, the kind of man who doesn't ask permission to exist. The crowd parts without realizing it. Instinct. Bodies shift, eyes dart away. But me? I lean against the counter, cross my arms and wait. Because the thing about predators, they hate being ignored. He stops at the bar. His scent hits next. Faint, clean, controlled. No aggression, no burn. It's wrong. Every alpha I've ever met reeks of dominance and arrogance. This one? He smells like the idea of rain before a storm, something that could ruin you if you let it. I polish a glass just to have something to do with my hands. Lose your way? I ask, casual. He doesn't flinch. No. I nod toward the glowing sign behind him. Then you lost your eyesight. Big red letters. Kinda hard to miss. He glances over his shoulder, then back at me. I saw it. And still came in? He gives a small shrug, like gravity doesn't apply to him. I thought maybe it didn't apply to me either. Oh, he's got jokes. I smile. Slow, deliberate. Bad assumption. He doesn't argue, just orders a drink. Whiskey. Neat. Of course. The cliché suits him. I pour it, slide the glass over, and let my voice drop an octave. You planning to leave quietly, or do I have to start throwing things? He meets my eyes then, steady, unreadable, like he's been studying people long enough to know how to see through them. And for a moment I forget to breathe. His gaze isn't hungry. It's curious, like he's trying to remember something he used to know. I clear my throat. Well? Cat got your tongue? Not a cat, he says. The corner of his mouth curves, just slightly. Maybe a wolf. I snort. Cute. Guess what? Wolves aren't welcome here either. Then maybe I'm the exception. He drinks. Slow. Deliberate. Doesn't break eye contact. The scent around him barely shifts. But something in my gut twists. An echo of recognition. Not memory. Not yet. Just a pull. Like gravity catching on the wrong orbit. I tell myself it's nothing. I've met too many alphas who thought silence made them mysterious. It doesn't. It just makes them predictable. I move to another customer, but I can feel him still watching me. Not lust, not threat. Observation, like I'm a puzzle he's half solved and too stubborn to leave unfinished. I try to focus on the music, the crowd, the pulse of safety I built brick by brick. The scent trap isn't just a club, it's a boundary. My boundary, the only place where scent doesn't mean ownership. But that man, he carries a different kind of silence. The kind that doesn't ask, doesn't demand. The kind that waits. After a few songs, he's still there. Still sitting. Still watching. You're persistent, I say when I pass by again. He raises a brow. You noticed. I notice everything. His lips twitch. That so? I lean closer, just enough for my scent blockers to kick harder. Especially people who don't belong. For the first time, he actually smiles. It's small, quiet, dangerous in the way that makes your heartbeat do stupid things. Maybe I'm just here for the music, he says. I laugh. You don't look like someone who dances. Maybe I'm waiting for a reason to. His voice is low, too low. My skin prickles, like the air itself is remembering something I worked hard to forget. I step back, shaking it off. Try another club, Wolfman. This one bites back. He doesn't move, just tips his glass toward me in silent toast, eyes never leaving mine. The night, stretches. The crowd shifts. The lights dim. He's still there when the others leave. Quiet, patient, impossible to ignore. I lock up, pretending not to notice. But the truth presses behind my ribs like heat. His scent shouldn't linger that long. Unless he wants it to. And under all that control, that smooth blank mask of composure, something familiar hums beneath his skin. Old, dangerous, like a memory that still bleeds. I take one last look at him through the haze of neon before turning off the lights. He's not like the ones who hunt, but his scent smells like something I've lost before. The thing about alphas is, they always flinch. That's why I built the traps. Hidden vents, fine-tuned filters, aromatic mists that crawl under the skin and scramble their instincts. Most can't handle it for more than 10 minutes before they start twitching. Sweating, losing that precious control they love so much. But this one, he just keeps coming back. It's been 4 nights, 4 long, glitter-soaked nights, and he sits in the same damn chair every time. Third table. From the bar, half shadowed by the neon column that hums like an electric heartbeat. I start calling it his spot. He doesn't drink much. 1 whiskey, maybe 2. No flirting, no picking fights, no marking territory. Just exists and watches. At first I thought he was waiting for someone. Then I realized he was waiting for something. Or someone. Me. The bar smells like sweat, cheap perfume, and citrus alcohol. The scent blockers hum softly through the air vents, but I swear he's immune to them. Every time he enters, the crowd shifts like the atmosphere itself remembers his presence. I pretend not to care, which, of course, means I care way too much. "Your stalker's back," says Eli, my bartender/emotional support human. He's beta, calm, steady, unbothered by scent dynamics, and has the patience of a saint, which makes him the perfect audience for my bad decisions. I glance toward the table. He's there, right on schedule, still and silent as ever. "Maybe he's here for the lighting," I say. "We do have flattering shadows." Eli smirks, polishing a glass. "Maybe he's here for the view. Then he should pay extra," I mutter. "The front row seats aren't free." Eli snorts. "Or maybe..." He leans closer. "He's just into you." I laugh, loud enough for it to sound real. "Then he's in the wrong place. We don't serve obsession on tap." Eli shrugs, amused. "Suit yourself. But if he asks for coffee, I'm charging double." "Don't," I say. "It'll encourage him." The truth is, the guy unnerves me. Not in the way other alphas do, with their heat and ego, but with that quiet steadiness. It's unnatural. He never fidgets, never postures, never flares his scent to dominate the room. He just is. And I hate that I'm starting to memorize his silence. Tonight, the club is packed. Strobe lights painting everything in pulses of blue and gold. I'm behind the DJ booth, halfway through a set, pretending to care about the beats while my eyes keep drifting toward that same damn table. He's there as always, unmoving, watching. So I do something stupid. "All right, my lovely deviants," I say into the mic, voice smooth as honey and twice as dangerous. "Remember, no biting without consent, and if you see an alpha in here tonight, pretend you didn't." He's already having a rough evening. Laughter ripples through the crowd. Heads turn toward him. He doesn't react. Of course he doesn't. I grin into the mic. And to our mysterious guest, "Thanks for ignoring the door sign. You're making rebellion look very hydrated." Eli buries his face in his towel, trying not to laugh. From across the room, the alpha finally moves, slowly, deliberately, raising his glass toward me. A silent toast. Then he drinks. Unbothered, unflappable. Like he's the one running the show. Damn him. Hours later, when the crowd thins and the last dancers stagger out into the neon night, I find myself wiping down the bar more aggressively than necessary. "He's still here," Eli murmurs, not even pretending to hide his smirk. "Maybe he's glued to the chair. Maybe he's waiting for you to tell him to leave." I roll my eyes. "Maybe I'll throw him out myself." Eli gestures toward the quiet figure at the table. "Yeah, you do that." I'll call an ambulance. I shoot him a look, but he's already walking toward the back room, chuckling under his breath. Coward. I grab a towel, toss it over my shoulder, and head toward the Alpha. The lights are dim now, just the soft blue wash from the bar and the lazy spin of the mirror ball above us. Dust floats like glitter in the air. You planning to rent that seat long-term? I ask, stopping beside his table. He looks up, calm as ever. Depends on the rent. I blink. You talk now? I talk when there's something worth saying. Oh, great. A philosopher. His mouth twitches, almost a smile. You've been testing me. Testing? No. I tilt my head, feigning innocence, just making sure the sign outside still works. He studies me quietly, eyes tracing my face, my hands, the faint shimmer of sweat at my collarbone. I don't flinch, but something tightens in my chest. Then, nothing. No heat, no scent, no instinct, just nothing. For a heartbeat, the air goes still. The soft hum of my scent traps fades, like someone cut the power. The smell of smoke, alcohol, even sweat. It all vanishes. Too clean, too quiet. I step back, confusion flickering through my mind. What did you just... He doesn't answer. Just tilts his head slightly, like he's listening to the silence he created. Then, softly, you built this place to hide. It's not a question. I force a smile. You think you know me? I think you're afraid, he says simply. I laugh, sharp and low. If I were afraid, you'd already smell it. He holds my gaze for a long moment, something unreadable flickering in his eyes. Then he stands, smooth and controlled. For a man his size, he moves like smoke, quiet, inevitable. He sets a few bills on the table, enough to pay for his drink 10 times over, and walks past me toward the door. Just before he leaves, he says over his shoulder, "You should fix your filters." Then he's gone. I stand there, heart pounding, surrounded by air that smells too pure to be real. My scent traps hum back to life one by one, the faint buzz returning to the air, but it's too late. He's not just an alpha. He's the kind who knows how to turn scent off. And that's the kind you can't predict. The bass doesn't just shake the room tonight. It climbs into my bones and takes up residence. A relentless physical thing that turns breath into rhythm and thought into heat. Blue strobes slide across the ceiling like cold lightning. On stage, the spotlight fractures against the haze and breaks into shards on my skin. I dance. It's not choreography. It's muscle memory stitched to survival. Hips tracking the kick drum, shoulders riding. The hi-hat, hands cutting the air as if I can slice the night into safer pieces. The crowd surges and sways, faces tilted up, the club's smoke curling like fingertips around their throats. Somewhere behind the lights, Eli is laughing with a regular, and somewhere in the dark, he sits. I feel him before I find him. A stillness in the tide, a rock in the current. Marcus. When I pivot, the beam skims over his table and stops like it knows him. He doesn't flinch under the sudden attention. He never does. He looks the same as always. Dark coat open at the throat, shoulders set, gaze cool. The room is fever, he is winter. I am a spark with too much oxygen. His attention pins me, clean and precise. Not just watching, focused. It strokes over my skin like a palm made of gravity. I throw my head back, let sweat gather at my hairline, and give him the line of my throat. A dare. My heart kicks at the cage of my ribs, impatient and a little stupid. The scent traps hum along the rafters, their soft, constant purr folding. Through the air, blockers, diffusers, citrus mist, lavender, smoke. My system is flawless. I built it with shaking hands and a stubborn spine. It keeps the room honest. It keeps me safe. Tonight, though, something in the hum slips. Just a stutter, a glitch, a split in the fabric. The pump catches, and in that catch, something familiar rises under the cocktail of smells. My mouth goes dry. No. No, no. The crowd presses closer to the stage. The light slices down my ribs. The bass tells me to move. I do. I roll a shoulder, slide, turn. Pretend. That's what I'm best at. Pretend until the pretending becomes posture, and the posture becomes power. But the air is changing. It grows heavier and cleaner at once, like thunderclouds swallowing sunlight. The citrus thins, the lavender thins, the smoke thins, and in the cleared space between those notes, the truth bleeds through, me. My scent, the one I don't allow to exist. It rises like a ghost I forgot to bury. Warm, unguarded, threaded with heat and iron. The part of me that was never for sale and almost got sold anyway. Down on the floor, Marcus lifts his head. The motion is small, but it hits like a siren. His eyes, those cold, steady things, light with something I have seen before in too many rooms and too many mouths. Not lust, not dominance. Recognition. My chest tightens until my breath is a blade. The music keeps going, oblivious, and I keep moving because stopping would be surrender. I pull the crowd's attention with me as I prowl along the lip of the stage, fingers ghosting the rail, sweat slick against my spine. The mirror ball shatters 1,000 little moons across Marcus's brow. He doesn't look away. For a heartbeat, we are a line pulled taut between heat and frost, chaos and stone, fire and the hand that could smother it, or warm it if it learns how. I break first. It's not retreat, it's maintenance. That's what I tell myself when I step off the stage and drop behind the curtain, skin buzzing with the sense of being seen. The hallway is hot and narrow, the kind of corridor that forces you to know your own edges. My boots hit concrete, thud thud thud, as I take the stairs down to the service level. The club's heartbeat dims, the bowels of the building take over, pipes groaning, compressors coughing, a fluorescent bulb flickering with tired nerves. The scent rig is tucked under the stairs behind a locked grate. I get the keys out with fingers that don't shake, because I have rules about shaking. The grate swings open, and the metal smell of the pumps greets me like a scolding. I check the lines. All green, no blockages, no leaks. So why? A soft draft slides along the back of my neck. Steps. Quiet. Heavy enough to trust the floor, light enough to know where it squeaks. I don't turn until he's close enough that I can feel the presence of him the way you feel weather before it arrives. You're not supposed to be down here, I say, calm, and lock the grate. Neither are you, apparently, he answers. I face him. The corridor's light is unkind, sallow overhead, shadows pooling under his cheekbones. Up close, he's sharper than the room allows upstairs. Clean shaven, a faint scar at his jaw, pale as a thread. Eyes like winter river water, not gray, not blue, something that will drown you if you trust it. He is large without needing to loom. That should make me feel safer. It doesn't. Private area, I say. Employees only. He glances at the sign on the wall. I'm not here for the scenery. Tragic, I murmur. It's the best part. For a moment, neither of us moves. The pipes grumble like old men. The overhead bulb buzzes. The air, God, the air, is too honest. He takes one step closer. Not crowding, not threatening, just erasing distance. Tai skrivash zapak, he says. No, he doesn't. He speaks in English, low and steady, and my mind, traitor that it is, translates my fear into the language it prefers. You're hiding your scent. I lift a brow. Professional habit. It's too familiar, he says, and something fractures in my chest. If memory had fingers, they would press here, under my sternum, push until the breath leaves. Then it's time you forget, I say quietly. His gaze flicks over my mouth for a beat that is not a beat at all. It's a cut. I don't forget. I noticed. He exhales. It's the smallest sound, but it smooths the air across my face like a hand I didn't permit. You built this place to erase what they smell. I built this place so I could breathe. His mouth tilts. Approval or pity, I can't tell. Then why are you the one holding your breath? I hate him for the accuracy. I hate him for the way the question lands exactly where the trap sprung. I swallow it whole and reach past him to tap the gauge. The needle sits steady. No mechanical failure. No cracked cartridge, no excuse, which leaves only one explanation I am not ready to hold. He did something. Like last night, like flipping a switch in the air. I edge around, claiming space with a shoulder, a hip, a look. He lets me. The courtesy feels like pressure anyway. Go upstairs, I say. Finish your drink. Or don't. Either way, you're leaving. I will, he answers, so easily that my hackles rise. But not yet. Why? He doesn't blink. Because when the air cleared, it smelled like a truth I've been chasing. My jaw ticks. I force the twitch into a smile. Try poetry night. Thursdays, no, he says. This is the right room. We stand in the middle of all that humming machinery, a foot of air stretched between us like wire. I know exactly how fast I could pivot if he lunged. I know exactly where the wrench sits on the shelf and how much it weighs. I know exactly how fear tastes when it's old enough to have a name. He doesn't lunge. He doesn't crowd. He does the worst possible thing. He waits. I'm not prey, I say, before I can stop myself. I can see that, he says. And it lands like a bomb I didn't ask for. Something cracks, not in the air this time, not in the pumps or the pipes, but somewhere molecular in me. The memory of heat. The memory of hands I didn't choose. The memory of fire where a door should have been. And underneath all that, the memory of a different night. A different presence. A different wolf who didn't push, who stood watch instead. A guard. A threat. A choice I didn't make. My skin pebbles. I pretend it's the draft. Go, I repeat, softer. Before I make the bouncers earn their pay. You won't. You think I won't throw you out? I think you want to see if I recognize it, he says. The floor tilts. My fingers curl against my palms until the nails bite. He steps back then, the way a cliff steps back when the tide insults it. The corridor seems bigger without him in my immediate weather. You should fix your system, he says. It's honest tonight. That's not a flaw, I say. It's a warning. To who? Me. We stare each other down. My heart behaves like someone shook it awake. He gives a slow nod, something almost respectful in it, and turns toward the stairs. Halfway up, he pauses and looks over his shoulder. The angle puts his face in shadow, his eyes bright as the bulbs whine. I'll forget a lot of things, he says. I won't forget this. His footsteps melt into the club's distant pulse. The pipes keep their old complaints. I stand alone with the murmur of machines and the ghost of my own scent, wrapping around my wrists like a bracelet I swore I'd never wear again. I reset the timers. I check the lines. I lock the grate with quiet hands and climb back to the main floor. When I push through the curtain, the night hits me in the face, sweat and laughter and neon prayer. I smile for the ones who need me to. I make a joke for Eli I don't remember a second later. I pour drinks. I move. On the inside, I press 2 palms against a door that isn't there. If he remembers, if he really remembers, then the life I poured into these concrete bones will come due. The sign outside won't matter. The rules won't matter. The walls won't matter. I lift my chin and flash another smile that belongs to a man who never runs. If he remembers, it's over. And if he doesn't, I don't let myself finish that thought. The guts of the club always smell the same. Metal sweat, stale beer, disinfectant, trying too hard, a cling of old smoke that never quite leaves the cinder block. Tonight there's something else in it, a bright thread of alertness that tightens every nerve in my spine. I take the back stairs 2 at a time, keys cold between my fingers. The compressor coughs, the overhead bulb stutters. I round the landing and hit a wall that wasn't there yesterday. Not brick, not concrete. Marcus. He's already in the corridor, angled out of the shadows like the building made space for him. No coat now. Black shirt, sleeves rolled. The long, clean lines of a man who knows exactly where his body ends and the world begins. He doesn't block the hallway completely. He doesn't have to. You're really fond of unauthorized areas, I say. Because voice means air, and air means control. You're really fond of exits, he replies. And there's a rasp in it that wasn't there upstairs. We should talk. We're talking about the truth. I smile without teeth. I sell drinks, not confessions. His gaze drags over me like a pressure front, not ownership, measurement. You dropped your mask tonight. I don't wear one. You do. You built it. The bulb buzzes. A pipe clicks like a metronome for panic. I take one step left, toward the scent rig under the stairs. He moves with me. Small shift, an echo, enough to make the space between us specific. Not crowding, not touching, boxing me in with options I don't want. I angle my shoulder. Move. Tell me your name, he says. The one from before. Every hair on my arms decides it has opinions. You first. He doesn't blink. Marcus, congratulations, I say. Now get out of my basement. Niko. My name in his mouth is a strike I didn't see coming. It lands under the ribs, right where old fire left its fingerprints. Don't, I say. Don't what? Say it like you're entitled to it. Something flickers behind his eyes. I'm not entitled to anything here. Good, I snap. Then leave. He doesn't. Of course he doesn't. He leans a fraction closer, and the corridor shrinks. The filters are humming. The citrus bite is there. The antiseptic ache of bleach is there, but under it, me. My scent in a place I swore it would never be naked again. Anger is easier than fear. I let it burn. I go for the gap at his left hip. He sees it a breath before I take it, turns, and my shoulder hits his chest, a solid, balanced center. I shove. He yields a step. I press that advantage, catch his wrist and twist. He lets me. He lets me. I hate him for it. He reverses cleanly, no force, just a shift of leverage, until the world tips and my back finds the cinder block. The shock rides my spine. The keys bite my palm. He doesn't pin. He doesn't grab, one forearm low, guarding his own ribs, the other hand open, palm out, like he walked into this fight with the brakes already on. Stop, he says. No, I say, and rake my nails across his jaw. Skin gives. He hisses, more surprised than hurt, and the smell of iron blooms sharp and intimate between us. Don't touch me, I add, because the rules matter even when everything else tips. I'm not, he says. And it's infuriatingly true. He's close enough that his breath is part of mine. But there's a line he's decided not to cross. It draws itself in the air between us like a tripwire, and I keep stepping on it anyway. I duck, slide, drive my knee toward his thigh. He turns again and we spin. My wrist glances the pipe. Pain zings. I curse on the inhale and go for his shoulder, pushing. He absorbs it, chalks it into the wall, doesn't throw it back. A controlled man in a narrow hall, a tide refusing to drown the shore. You're hiding, he says, low. Keep guessing, I say, and try to take his balance with my hips. His hand lifts to block. My mouth is open to breathe, to argue, to lie. We collide in the mess of our choices. Cheek, jaw, teeth. And the angle is wrong. The timing worse. The line that wasn't a line snaps like thread. Our mouths hit. No finesse, no permission. Just impact, heat, breath, and the sharp copper flash where I cut him. His lip, my tooth, then my bottom lip against his, and the sudden slick heat of blood. The world goes soundless. Salt, metal, sugar in the air that shouldn't be sweet. He tastes like a challenge solved and a promise half-spoken. My heartbeat lurches, skids, reorders itself around that contact like the bass upstairs found a new home behind my sternum. I don't move for one stunned second, and neither does he. Then the second collapses. I break first. I shove him back hard enough to stagger myself. The corridor reappears. The bulbs flicker, the damp chill of concrete, the whisper of vents, and my mouth is wet, my chin tinged, my own pulse a strobe. Breath comes rough once, then steadies. He doesn't reach for me. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't make it worse by pretending the thing that just hit us didn't happen. We stare. The iron-slick air wraps my tongue. The filters hum like insects, desperate to clean the moment and failing. You shouldn't have come here, I say, and my voice is the wrong shape, scraped and new. Say that again, he answers, quiet, almost curious. Maybe then I'll go. My laugh is a broken match. Then I'd rather keep my mouth shut. Something like regret shifts his mouth, only it isn't soft. It's acceptance. He swipes his knuckles across his lip. Red smears. He doesn't wipe it on his shirt. He doesn't use my wall. That wasn't... I start. It was a collision, he says. Nothing more. I should be grateful for the out. The part of me that still catalogs exits nods vigorously. The rest of me stands there with a mouth that remembers and a body that refuses to lie about adrenaline. He angles slightly away, as if to prove he's not a threat. He is a wall with gaps built in, a fortress with the drawbridge down. The worst kind of danger, one you can step into. Tell me anyway, he says, and the gentleness in it is a weapon I don't know how to parry. Tell me I'm wrong. I could lace it with poison and win the next 5 minutes. But the hour after would burn me down. I look at his hands instead. Hands that didn't take. Hands that didn't push. The nail crescents I left on his jaw have already stopped bleeding. The line of red at his lip shines, then dulls. He feels it then. My tremor. It starts in the fingers, climbs to the wrist, a small betrayal. I press my palm to the cinder block. Cool. Hard. Real. He straightens a fraction. Not closer. Ready. I won't hurt you, he says. Don't make promises you can't keep. I can keep that one. Not the way you think, I say, and it comes out more honest than I wanted. It's not about hands. Understanding threads through his expression, pulls tight. I know. Maybe he does. Maybe that's worse. Silence balloons, warm with leftover blood, sweet with the wrong air. The club above us is still living, a bass bump, a laugh, a glass clink like wind chimes in a storm. Down here, time holds its breath with me. You found what you came for? I ask. Finally. My voice is steadier now. That's something. No, he says. And that, too, is somehow true. But I'm closer. Then leave before you ruin it. I'll go, he says, and steps back again, giving me the corridor like a gift I didn't request. I won't force the answer. You wouldn't be the first. I won't be the last, he says, like an apology to the future. But it doesn't have to be me. The hurt that coils low in my ribs is old enough to vote. I nod once, and it costs. Good. Then don't come back. He looks at me for a long breath, through the smear of blood and the harsh light, and I realize what terrifies me isn't his presence. It's the absence that will follow. He inclines his head, a soldier's acknowledgement, a man's restraint. He doesn't ask for anything. He doesn't leave me with a line to finish. He steps aside. I go past him, shoulder to shoulder, heat to cold, a brush of air where another man would have made it a bruise. I smell him, not dominance, not threat, rain on concrete that never arrives. It loosens something behind my breastbone and makes it harder to breathe. At the bottom of the stairs, I pause and turn the light switch half a notch. The corridor dims to a softer ugliness. Marcus stands in it like a figure the dark is considering and not quite ready to keep. He waits. Lock the door when you leave, I say. All your doors are locked, he answers. That's the problem. I refuse to ask which door he means. My palm slips on the rail as I climb. The bass returns like a pulse I survived. At the curtain, I look back one last time. He hasn't moved. He stands there, not touching the walls, not bleeding on my floor, not making himself bigger to fill the space. He is exactly the size of the truth he brought with him, and that's more than enough to crowd my lungs. You shouldn't have come, I say again, softer, to no one. To the air, to my own stupid heart. This time, he doesn't answer. He doesn't have to. I let the curtain fall and swallow the basement whole. The club greets me with light and noise, and people who think I am invincible. I am very good at pretending they're right. I laugh at a joke I don't hear. I pour a drink I don't taste. I wipe a spot on the counter that never existed. Inside, my hands won't stop shaking. He feels it, I think. He must. He's trained to see the tiny tells before they become the big ones. But he doesn't know why I shake. Not exactly. He doesn't know which night branded this reaction into me, which fire forged it, which choices I didn't have. And he isn't a monster. He stood there and didn't touch me. He stood there and didn't take. He stood there and let me choose. That terrifies me more than any hand at my throat ever did. Because monsters are easy. You kill them or you run. Men like Marcus, they make you think about staying. The club sleeps ugly. When the last body slips through the velvet curtain and the door thunks. Shut, the scent trap exhales all at once, like a beast uncurling. The bass dies. The lights come up to a tired amber that shows every scuff, every lipstick, ghost, every ring left by a cheap glass on my expensive wood. I pour something clear and mean and tell myself it's for accounting. The bills are older than some of my regulars. The receipts whisper that I'm bad at charging. Friends, the ledger insists that I built a sanctuary and priced it like charity. Eli would argue with me in gentle beta if he were here. He's not. He's home, where people sleep on purpose. The only heartbeat left in this room is the one I'm pretending is the ice machine. I work because work looks like control. I circle numbers, uncap the pen with my teeth, and make neat stacks for a future version of me who will be smarter, colder, less likely to bleed from the past. The door doesn't open. And somehow he's here anyway. I don't smell him. That would be too easy. The air is still citrus and disinfectant, and a ghost of sweat, none of it honest enough to betray him. I just look up and he's there, on the far side of the room, a shadow resolved into a man. Marcus, black shirt, coat folded over his arm. His jaw has a thin, dark line where my nails introduce themselves. His mouth, steady. He looks like a closing argument. We're closed, I say, pen still in my teeth so it comes out half-bit. Come back, never. He doesn't move closer. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't speak. Silence is worse than any scent. I set the pen down carefully and turn the glass in my hand. The ice clinks. The noise is obscene in the vast quiet. You're looking for someone, right? I say, bright and cruel, because those are the handles that don't slip. An Omega who ran. Funny. His eyes catch the light and hold it. You know something? More than you'll like. That lands. He doesn't flinch, exactly. The change is subtler. The steady line of his shoulders tightens a fraction. The breath he takes goes in deeper than his body wanted it to. A soldier bracing. Tell me, he says. Why? I tilt my head. So you can write a report that ruins the rest of my life? I don't write reports anymore. Congratulations. I take a swallow of the not-for-drinking drink. It burns a clean path down my throat. You still take orders? A long beat. That's complicated. It always is for the person giving them, I say. And the laugh that accompanies it comes out over the edge of something sharp. He steps to the bar, not close enough to touch, close enough that the space between us becomes intentional. I can feel the heat off him. Not scent, not dominance, human. The kind that gets into your winter and makes you consider being warm. 2 years ago, he says, voice level, a safe house burned. I'm suddenly very interested in a column of numbers that add to nothing. And there were 3 handlers on rotation. One was dirty, one was green, one was me. Which one ordered the doors locked? His throat works. The dirty one. I didn't know he'd... He stops. Starts again without the lie. I knew he wanted leverage. I didn't know he'd kill for it that night. I let the glass touch the counter and don't look at him. Leverage. Such a gentle word for a fire. The order came down from higher, he says. Containment. No exits. Wait for backup. I followed it until I didn't. And when exactly did you grow a conscience? I ask. Before or after the smoke alarm screamed? Before the first scream. He says, quiet. But it took me too long to disobey. That admission slides between my ribs and lodges there, hot and ugly. I keep my face blank because I learned to keep it long before I learned to count. You were hunting a ghost, Marcus. 2 years of it. How's that feel? Like failure, he says. Good, I say. You deserve to fail. We look at each other over the bar, and there's so much history in the air it should be thick enough to chew. I can hear the building listening. The ghost, he says, more careful now. Smelled like heat and iron, like a storm over concrete, like, don't, I say. And the word hits the wood with my palm. He stops. A muscle jumps in his cheek. You built this place to erase it. I laugh softly, humorless. I built this place because smoke learns your name if you let it. He could push. He doesn't. He could plead. He doesn't. He just looks, steady and terrible. What was his name? He asks. Before he ran, the glass is empty. I don't remember drinking it. My mouth tastes like a memory anyway. You've been chasing a scent, I say. Not a person. Not really. That's the trick they teach you where you're from, right? Reduce us until we're trackable. I don't do that, he says. You did. I smile like I'm not shaking. You followed orders until the map looked like a city and not a cage. He leans his forearms on the bar. A concession of height, not power. Up close, the scar at his jaw is a pale crescent my fingers remember from an hour they shouldn't. His lip has healed to a dark seam. I put it there. I can't decide if that makes me proud or tired. Tell me, he says again, and the request isn't soft. It's respectful. It lands like a door set gently back on its hinges. Here's what I'll tell you, I say. You spent 2 years hunting a ghost. I pause until the quiet aches. And now you're hunting me. He takes that without blinking. Niko, don't call me that like you earned it. The words come out sharper than I planned. The truth in them is a wire. You didn't find me. I lived long enough to be found. His gaze flickers. Pain, maybe. More likely inventory. Then you're... Pick a word, I say. Runaway. Defect. Stain on a file. Choose the one that lets you sleep. He shakes his head once. Alive. Something traitorous in my chest loosens, then clamps down harder to punish itself. Yes, I say. Alive because anger burns hotter than fear. It's not a brave thing to admit. It's an indictment. It says I didn't survive out of goodness or grit, but because rage is a fuel and I had plenty. He hears it the way I meant it. His shoulders soften a fraction, like he's putting down a weight that finally admitted its name. I didn't know it would end like that, he says. And there is no defense in it. I knew the job was rotten. I didn't know it would turn me into a man who watched a door stay closed. You didn't just watch, I say. You held the radio. I broke it, he says. I look up then. What? Halfway through the first minute, he says, eyes on mine so I can see there's no theater in it. I told him to stand down. He laughed. I smashed the radio and went for the lock. By then the heat had its own orders. The picture arrives uninvited. The soldier with river water eyes, bleeding from one knuckle, face turned hard against the glow. The door he couldn't open. The moment he decided to be another kind of man and was, tragically, too late. Memory is a liar when it wants to comfort you. I don't let it. I keep the smoke loud in my ears. Someone died, I say. Yes. More than one? Yes. And you kept working for them until last year, he says. Then I took a different kind of job guarding the same kind of men. The syndicate, he doesn't answer, which is an answer. I set the ledger aside. 2 years of paper, make a dull thud. You're here because of me, I say. I'm here because of you, he agrees. I give him the whole of my face then. No lacquer, no light tricks, just the bones I kept, and the name I didn't. Before I say, they called me Niko as a convenience. The file had another word, a number, a price. It's gone now. His jaw tightens. What do you call you? I hate the way the warmth rises under my skin, as if a soft thing in me wants to answer a question that simple. Niko, I say. Because I said so. Then Niko, he says. With care. I'm sorry. The apology is graceless and real. I would prefer a lie. Sorry doesn't clean the smoke out of lungs you never saw, I say. But I believe you. He nods once. I didn't come to beg for forgiveness. Good, I say. You won't get it. Another nod. Not wounded. Accepting. Then what do you want? He looks at my hands. His own settle flat on the bar, palms open, to stand where I should have stood the first time. There is a hole in me shaped like the word guard. It's not empty, it's a scar. I touch it with my tongue like a broken tooth, then take my hand off the glass before I remember the taste too well. You can stand, I say. You can watch. You can leave the sign alone when it says, no alphas. I can do that. Can you leave when I say leave? Yes, a beat. If you say it like you mean it, we breathe the same quiet for a while. The club creaks, settling on its haunches. Outside, a siren remembers a different street. He doesn't reach for me. He doesn't ask for more. He doesn't explain the bruise behind his mouth with anything but the truth we both already hold. I slide the ledger back into its drawer and lock it. Keys click. My hand is steady now. Progress. You should go, I say, and mean it. He collects his coat. He doesn't put it on. He watches me like he's memorizing the way a door looks when it's open. At least, tell me if I'm right, he says, pausing at the curtain. Your scent. It's the one from that night. Yes, I say, because the room deserves something honest before it sleeps. It is. He nods once. No triumph. Only recognition landing in its chair at last. Good night, Niko. Night, Marcus. He slips through the curtain like the dark accepts him on credit. The latch catches. The ice machine remembers its job. I pour water. I drink it like penance. He's not my enemy, I think. And the thought sits beside me on the bar like a companion I didn't invite. But forgiveness has a different door, and I don't know where I put the key. He's not the enemy, but I'm not ready to forgive. The night breaks wrong. I'm halfway through a stock count in the back room. 4 bottles short. 3. Lies ready for the invoice, when every hair on my arms lifts at once. It's not scent. It's weight. Pressure. The way silence goes concave before impact. Then the front door explodes inward. The sound is a thunderclap wrapped in glass. The scent trap lifts, shudders, sets back down on its haunches. Screams slice the music. The bass staggers and dies. I'm already running. Lock the office, I snap at Eli as he bursts in from the hall, eyes wide, towel clutched like a flag of surrender. There are men, guns. I know. I shove the emergency panel under the shelf and slap the red toggle. Hidden fans roar awake, cartridges hiss. A citrus and lavender wall rolls through the vents like a wave, followed by the bitter veil of a total blocker. Strobe lights wash over to low red, the smoke machines dump cover at full bore. Eli's hands shake. Niko. Back room. Now. I press a key fob into his palm. Panic hatch behind the beer kegs goes to the alley. Take Tana. 10 minutes, then call Paige. Not before. He swallows. What about you? I smile like this is a Tuesday. This is my house. He bolts. Good boy. I throw the breaker for the crowd doors. The safety magnets lock with a thunk. Somewhere in the main room, a man bellows for everyone to get down, and the strange calm that lives under. My skin, the one that remembers fire, remembers numbers, remembers exits, stands up and takes the wheel. I step through the curtain into chaos. They've brought 10 men at least. Black clothes, dull rifles, the blank faces of employees who stopped asking why a long time ago. My patrons are on the floor, hands on heads, some sobbing, some so quiet they are smoke already. The air is thick with programmed citrus and the oily rasp of gun oil. The blocker eats the alpha's instincts alive. A few of the intruders cough, rubbing at their eyes unsteady. Good. Breathe that, you bastards. And then there's Marcus. He moves through them like water finds a crack. No wasted motion. No shouting. His coat is gone. The black shirt is darker where sweat clings. Sleeves rolled. Forearms traced in tendons built for use. He's not on their side. I see it in the way he positions himself between a gun and a shaking dancer. In the way his body angles to protect without drawing fire. Down. One of the syndicate men yells at me, swinging the muzzle my way. I throw a wine bottle. It connects with his forearm. The gun clatters, skittering across the floor. The crowd shrieks and surges. Marcus steps in, heel clipping the weapon away, elbowing the man. Into the bar with a controlled economy that would be beautiful if I weren't busy hating it. He sees me then. A flick. Acknowledgement, calculation, the smallest fracture of relief. Emergency exit? Blocked, I say, because of course they are. But the floor isn't. Show me. 2 more pour in through the busted door. The one at point fires into the ceiling to make the room obey. Plaster drifts like snow. I hit the main override on my phone. The understage vents kick to gale force, smoke tidal and thick. The red strobe slow to a crawling heartbeat. On purpose. I need their eyes confused. Move. I shout to the crowd. Crawl to the bar, under the pass. Go. They do. People are good at following voices when the sky is falling. I sprint low, keep the bar between me and the guns, and slam my knee into the hidden latch panel on the stage stairs. It pops. Here. Marcus is already there, covering me. A quiet wall that breathes. A round chews a splinter off the stair rail by my ear. He shoves me flat with a palm between my shoulders and fires 2 shots from a gun I didn't see him take. One man drops hard, the other curses, retreating behind a pillar that smells like old beer and panic. Under, I bark. I strip the false front plank from the stair riser, hook my fingers into the cold metal ring beneath. The trapdoor resists, paint and stubbornness, but then it gives, yawning open onto dark. Go, Marcus says low. Guests first, I counter, and gesture a cluster of trembling bodies into the hole. They slide into the crawl space like breath under a blanket. More follow. A dancer I know as Miri squeezes my wrist as she passes. Her eyes are huge white moons. I squeeze back. Down the slope, left at the sump, out through the old delivery chute, I tell her. Help them. I've got them, she whispers, and vanishes. Down. Another man shouts. A flash. A crack. The corner of my sign, no alphas allowed, explodes into a shower of cheap stars. The irony stabs and leaves. Now you, Marcus says. After you, the smoke bites my eyes. The blocker eats my breath. The shooter goes for a better angle. Marcus fires. The man folds like a bad decision. Go, Marcus repeats. Hard now. We drop together. The stage belly swallows us. Cooler air, wet concrete smell, the low lake quiet of a building's underworld. I pull the hatch closed above our heads. The club's screams dim to a muffled thunder. My night vision kicks hard. I grab the emergency torch and a coil of nylon from the bracket and don't think about the fact that my hands are steady now. Left, I say. Keep low. The tunnel is a wartime afterthought. I renovated into a promise. It runs under the club to the old freight dock, then splits into the city's forgotten veins. I know every bend. I designed half of them. I run because running is what a body does when the past catches up with it. Behind us, the ceiling groans like an old man remembering the day he fell. Then the groan becomes a shout, something heavy giving way where it shouldn't. I risk a glance back. Wait, Marcus says, grabbing my arm. Don't. The back quarter of the stage framework tears loose. The world coughs dust. A beam slams down into the crawlspace we just cleared. A second beam tilts, slides, comes fast. Marcus shoves me ahead and takes the hit meant for both of us. The beam smashes his shoulder, glances off his upper arm, pins him to the wall like the building wants him for a cross. His breath goes out in one ugly sound. The torch skitters away, the tunnel jumps with shadow. Marcus, it's fine, he grits. It isn't. Blood blossoms dark under his sleeve, quick and disciplined. I shove my shoulder under the wood and heave. The beam grinds against concrete, stubborn as a grudge. On 3, I pant, push away as I lift. 1, 2, 3, he says with me. And on the number he drives with his legs. The beam grudges us 2 inches, then 4, then enough. He slams sideways, clears the worst of it, and drops to one knee. I grab the torch, flick it back on. His face is drawn, the skin around his mouth too pale. Don't say it, he mutters. Say what? I loop the nylon under the settling beam, knot it to a rusted bracket. That you're an idiot? Correct. That I should have ducked, he says, and it's very nearly a smile. Add it to the list. I slide under his good arm. Up. We're moving. He doesn't argue. Smart man. We run hunched through the seam of the city. Water drips. Rats hold their counsel in the walls. Far above, boots hammer wood and men shout orders that don't apply to the dark. You're bleeding, I say. More annoyed than scared, because annoyed keeps the floor flat. So are you, he says. I'm accessorizing. It's only a shallow cut at my wrist. Pipe kiss. His is worse. I taste iron in the damp air and file the taste under later. We take the second left. Then the shallow decline to the freight artery. The bricks sweat history. I shove open a rusted gate with my hip and pull him into a nook where the tunnel bulges around an old sump pump. It's as private as the underworld gets. Sit, I order. He doesn't posture. He sets down, back braced, breathing controlled like he's arguing with pain and winning on points. Up close, the sleeve of his shirt is stuck to his arm with blood. I rip it. He doesn't flinch. There's a deep, clean tear along the tricep and a developing bruise where the beam kissed bone. Not broken. Not tonight. You're lucky, I say. I make my own, he says. You make my life difficult. I pull the compact med kit out of the wall niche behind the pump, vacuum-sealed gauze, tape, a blessed roll of elastic bandage. Hold. He offers his forearm, palm up. The gesture punches through me with its stupid echo of trust. I swallow it and work. The tunnel shrinks to a circle of beam light and the heat of him. I clean around the tear. He doesn't make a sound, not even when the antiseptic stings. My fingers shake once, stop it, and then they don't. I stitch him in silence with the little butterfly closures, because we don't have time for pretty. When I reach for the bandage, his knuckles brush mine. Not an accident. Not a move. Just contact. I let it happen. Why are you here? I ask. Soft because the tunnel wants it that way. At my club. At my door. In my tunnels. He meets my eyes. The river water look isn't cold down here. It's deep. Because when they came, they weren't coming for a business, he says. They were coming for you. So you decided to be a wall. I decided not to be a door. The elastic rolls under my fingers. I bind him tight and clean. It's not tenderness. It could be mistaken for it. You realize what you are now, I say, finishing the knot. A traitor. He sits back, letting the reality settle on his shoulders like a jacket he knew he would own eventually. I've been worse. They'll kill you, I say. It's not prophecy. It's math. He exhales. One measured breath. I'm used to that kind of problem. You're an idiot. Probably, he says. But yours. The bandage is secure. My hand's still on his skin. The word hits some hollow instrument in me and plays a note I don't have a name for. Don't be, I say, but the bite has no teeth. He nods once, as if acknowledging a rule he intends to test later. Can you walk? I'm not the one you should be asking, I say. But I stand and offer him my wrist. He takes it, leverages up with a grunt he tries to hide. We move again, slower now. I kill the torch for the last stretch. The black holds us like a secret, and we let it. Behind us, the building's belly moans where it hurt itself. Ahead, faint traffic hums through stone. At the split, I take the right-hand path that arches back toward the stage foundation. You're doubling back, he says. They know the obvious exits, I say. No one checks the place you just escaped. Clever. Paranoid, I correct. Useful. We crawl the last 20 meters on hands and knees, the tunnel narrowing to a throat. My shoulders remember being smaller. My ribs remember counting seconds in a smoke that owned my name. I breathe anyway. So does he. And the sound of our breath together makes a rhythm I file away for a time when I can afford it. The crawl space opens into the void under the main stage, my first sanctuary, my worst habit. I lower the interior hatch and wedge it with an old speaker case. Above us, the club's ghostly quiet has settled. The men must be sweeping, confused by too much air that doesn't tell the truth. I unroll 2 dusty mats. Sit. Don't talk. He sits. He doesn't talk. I check his bandage again. Warmth radiates from him like a small, stubborn stove. I sit with my back to the same beam, our shoulders almost, not quite touching. 5 minutes. 10. The hollows of the building creak and relax, as if remembering my name too. Sleep, I murmur, surprised to hear the word in my mouth. That a request? He asks, voice sanded down. An order. He huffs what might be a laugh. It turns into a sigh halfway through, the kind that means a body is done arguing. His head tips back against the beam. Weight eases out of him in increments. Like a trained surrender, I wait for the flinch that never comes. I wait for my own heart to sprint. It doesn't. I watch the dark instead. I count the breaths of a man who should have been my death and wasn't. I listen for boots that do not find this room. The blood smell thins under the bandage. The blocker fades. The air down here is clean the way caves are clean. Mineral, damp, old. Marcus's breath evens into sleep. I stay awake with a hand on the wrench and my spine to the beam. Under the stage where I learned how to own a room, I keep a guard I didn't know I had inside me. Strange thing, fear doesn't sit beside me tonight. Strangest thing, something else does. Something I can't name that isn't hunger, isn't heat, isn't even hope. I roll my neck, settle in, and let the building keep us. Strange, but next to him I felt no fear for the first time. Only the scent of iron and of silence. Dawn finds the cracks. It pours through them first. The little seams where plaster gave way, the hairline gaps between warped boards, the busted edge of my beloved sign where a bullet turned the no into a suggestion. Light slips in like it always meant to live here. Dust rising to greet it. The club's ribs glowing a soft, forgiving gold. Marcus wakes to it. I hear the change in his breathing before I see his eyes open. Last night he slept like a man who has bargained with worse places, still alert even in surrender. Now he shifts, careful of the arm I wrapped, and blinks like he's cataloging the state of the world and finding it survivable. Welcome back, I say from my spot under the beam. You snore. He looks at me. I don't. You do, I lie. Because the truth is he breathes like a metronome, and it calmed the part of me that thinks sleep is a door someone else might open. Status? He asks, voice sanded down. Clubs bruised, spine intact. I push to my feet and offer him my hand without thinking. He takes it without making a thing of it. Your arm? Functional. He rolls his shoulder once. The wince is small enough to hide in. But I see it. You. Cosmetic damage. I wiggle my cut wrist. Ad's edge. I crack the hatch. Listen. No boots. No voices. Just the quiet drip of a building that's worked hard and gets to rest a minute. We ease out from under the stage and into the main room. The scent trap looks like it survived a fight and plans to throw another. The dance floor is a mess of confetti that isn't. Drywall dandruff, turning the black into a tolerant gray. Chairs on their sides like drunk horses. The mirror ball hangs crooked and still throws coins of light everywhere because it doesn't know the meaning of shame. It should hurt more, seeing it like this. Instead, I feel strangely light, as if a storm came through a house I built to withstand it, and found out I meant it. Marcus flicks a glance over the wreckage, reads the story like a map. Any casualties? None on our side, I say. 2 of theirs won't be drinking on my tab again. The rest left with a new appreciation for citrus. He nods once, and something in his face relaxes that I hadn't realized was clenched. The relief is quiet. I file it under evidence. Come on, I say, tipping my head toward the back corridor. Best view in the city. We take the stairs up to the roof. The door sticks the way it always does, because good things make you work. The morning air hits first, cooler than the underworld, sharp with a clean edge that tastes like maybe we get to have a new day after all. The city smokes. Not ruin, just the ghost of adrenaline burning off. Sunrise throws itself against glass towers across the river and shatters into the sky. Sirens moan a neighborhood over and give up. Far below somewhere, someone is swearing about plaster dust in their hair like the world could end from anything but that. I sit on the low parapet, swing my boots. My clothes smell like ash and cheap disinfectant, and the stubborn sweetness of the stage fog that never really leaves. I light a cigarette because therapy is booked and this is faster. Smoke curls and disappears into a sky that forgives everything this early. Marcus leans against the vent stack, hands loose at his sides, gaze on the horizon like it might ask him a question he wants to answer. You could have left, I say, voice soft enough that the wind takes the edge off. Last night. Before they came. During. After. I could have, he says. And now? He looks over. The river water eyes aren't cold up here. They reflect whatever the light is doing. Right now, it's mercy. Now I don't want to. Bad plan, I say, because routine's comfort. I don't domesticate. His mouth tugs. I'm not a trainer. We let that sit between us. A shape that throws a gentle shadow. A gull shouts something obscene at another gull. I flick ash. What happens to you if you stay? I ask, because questions are better than fantasies. With them, he doesn't need me to clarify them. They'll call me what you did, he says. Traitor. You'll be hunted. I've been worse things. I've survived. Under the old habit of fear, something opens a window. It's small. It lets the air in. Why? I ask finally. Why me? Why here? He watches a strip of cloud catch gold. Because 2 years ago I stood on the wrong side of a door, he says. Last night I decided not to be a door again. I take a drag to stop the twitch in my mouth from becoming something. That's not an answer to why me. No, he agrees, almost smiling. That one's harder. I wait. He lets out a slow breath and gives me exactly what I asked for. I remembered the scent, he says simply. Heat and iron, and the way the room changed when it realized it could breathe around you. It felt like the first honest thing I'd walked toward in a long time. I tip my head back and watch the last of the night bleed out of the sky. Honest, that's a word with edges. You do know I'm terrible company, right? I say. I'm petty. I price drinks wrong. I hold grudges like precious heirlooms. You built a sanctuary, he says. You priced it so people who need it can find it. Don't give me sainthood, I warn. I don't have the wardrobe. I'm not, he says. I'm giving you credit. That lands somewhere that isn't ready to be gracious. I watch smoke unmake itself. You can't unring last night, I say. They'll come back. I know. You might die. He shrugs with the good shoulder. So might you. Occupational hazard. A beat. You're really bad at being talked out of things. Occupational habit. We sit like that for a while. Two silhouettes against a city that's pretending to be new. The quiet between us doesn't itch. It doesn't ask. It just exists. Like we have a truce with the day. Eli will show at 9 and have opinions, I say. He'll try not to scold me for bleeding on ledger paper. Will you let him? I'll make him pancakes and pretend that's different. That's leadership, he deadpans. Don't start. I flick the last ember away. It falls and winks out before it can be a problem, an omen I accept on credit. We go downstairs. The stairwell smells like hot dust and old gum. In the main room, light makes saints of the broken chairs. I unlatch the front bolts, pull the warped door until the hinge complains, and prop it with a paint can that used to be red and now is a biography of scuffs. Marcus stands beside me, not blocking, not guarding, just there. I look at the sign. I could fix it. I could reprint the no and paint it brighter than blood. I could hold that line, the way I've held all of them. Instead, I lift it off its hook and carry it to the back. When I come back, the doorway feels larger. Maybe that's just my lungs figuring things out. I plant myself on the threshold. The street stares back, wet, ugly, alive. The morning smells like exhaust and bakery air, and the tin taste of a day that hasn't decided what it wants to be. I clear my throat. Today, I say, like a toast, like a dare. We're open to everyone. Marcus's eyebrow lifts. Even alphas? I look at him. His bandaged arm, his ridiculous steadiness, the way the light keeps choosing his face like it's a good surface to bounce off. At least one. He holds my gaze a second too long, then nods as if I've given him a duty roster. Understood. The city moves. A couple on scooters yells about eggs. A stray dog with a veteran limp pauses to consider our threshold, decides he owns it more than we do, and wanders on. Somewhere glass clinks, decisively not breaking. We don't hug. We don't kiss. We don't make a promise the morning could trip over for sport. Instead, I find a broom. Marcus finds a second one. We begin the oldest ritual my species trusts. We clean. He moves carefully, but without fuss. I scold him twice about his arm, and he agrees twice in a way that means he won't. Eli arrives at 9:08, takes one look at us, puts his hands on his hips and says, "I left you alone for one night." 2, I correct, if you count this one. He groans, then kisses my cheek like I'm not a disaster, and starts making coffee that could end wars. He eyes Marcus like he's a cat we're keeping, and then, apparently satisfied no one is currently dying, goes to count mugs. We sweep a little. We laugh once, and it doesn't sound broken. The morning comes inside and sits down. I stand in the doorway again because it feels like a good place for me. Marcus steps up beside me again because apparently it feels like a good place for him. The air is different. Cleaner. Honest in a way that isn't the absence of smell but the presence of choice. He still smells like a problem. Only now he smells like mine.